Gordy Rush, Haggai Davis, Tech Gumbo. Hope you're enjoying the show on Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Don't forget to go to Facebook, Gulf South Tech. Type in the keyword computer. You're going to draw a winner. Somebody's going to win a free copy of Microsoft Office 2013.
And don't forget, go to pulse.techgumbo.net. Give us your feedback. Let us know what you're thinking. We want to see that instant feedback, and you can watch, too, with the trend on everybody who's listening as they're voting as well. Pulse.techgumbo.net.
Haggai, when you and I were back in school, computer science was just becoming a major and starting to step out a little bit. And here we are. Fast forward, gosh, I don't even want to do the math, 20-plus years. And it's
a little more than that for some of us.
Okay. I didn't want to throw you under the bus.
That's okay.
Your son already did that earlier. But, obviously it is a very popular major and tremendous career opportunities. And we have a special guest in studio that we want to visit with.
David Stewart is here. David is a computer science major, going to be graduating in December. Hi, David.
How you doing?
Doing great. So, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is, obviously this is, Tech Gumbo, but this is not just about technology at the office. If you're a parent and you've got a kid who is interested in computers, interested in that kind of technology range, what is something going to take for, somebody to get involved? Like, how did you get involved in the whole programming thing?
So we talked about Windows 95 earlier, and I didn't get started that long ago, but I've been involved in programming since I was a very young kid. I think the first ever programming that I actually did was when I was about 9 years old, and that was entirely due to my older brother, who's 2 years older than me. We were chatting around in these chat rooms, and you could make little scripts and stuff that would keep track of who's been in the chat room and what they've been saying, and it's just cute little things like that I found really interesting, and turns out that's going to be my career, years down the road. But I picked that up at, like I said, 9 years old, and haven't really stopped since then.
Now, is there some special talent that somebody needs to be in the computer science world, in the programming world, or do you just have to understand and start learning?
Not at all. There's no fixed cost to get in. There's learning libraries all over. You can get free tutorials all over the internet that are much more widely available now than they were when I was growing up. So you don't really need anything to get started besides an interest in what you want.
So, you mentioned having your older brother. Is that what really spurred you, or once you got to playing with it, then is that what launched your interest?
Once I got playing with it, I realized that I could tell a computer to do something and it would do it. And that, to me, was just a really powerful moment. But because before, I'd just seen computers as boxes and, you kind of push a key and something shows up on the screen and that's about it. But now I could write my own programs. I could tell the computer to do these really complicated tasks, press a key to run it, and then sit back and watch as my program ran in the wild. And that was such an empowering moment to see, I had control over technology.
So now, is this a similar track to other people, who've taken on this path? I mean, does everybody come to it the same way, or what are some other stories you've heard as to people how they got this way?
I think a lot of people get started in high school. Quite a few people that are majoring in computer science at LSU even got started in college. They showed up at LSU and thought, that sounds kind of interesting, and they take these classes. But then again, I think computer science has the largest group of people that got involved before they started any sorts of formal education. You talk to people all over, and they might not have similar stories to me in getting started that young, but something sparked them at a young age, whether it was the Lego Mindstorm that I know a lot of people had when they were younger, where you could make these like little robots and cars, and you could program it as how it moved around your house and how it would react to obstacles. All sorts of things like that, just to get people started, get people interested. And once that seed's planted, they kind of get a more formal education.
And so, do you pick a language where you start programming, or do you just find something that's comfortable, or you just start typing out code and because of different things you've learned, or?
Well, I got started with, like I said, there was a chat room, and so it was a very basic scripting language, and I wouldn't suggest anybody else get started there because it's far too confusing to get started with. But if you just type in, say, coding tutorials or programming tutorials in Google, you'll get all sorts of resources available to you to start. Languages don't really matter. You'll have people arguing to the death that one language is better than another, and that really doesn't matter. I've learned probably a dozen languages at this point now, and once you get the foundation in the first language, just pick one, whatever you want, find a task you want to solve, and find a language that allows you to do that. Get started, and once you have the basics for the first language, you're good for any others.
what's the most complicated language that you've learned to program in so far?
The most complicated would probably be Lisp. That's not very user friendly. I would not suggest anybody get started there.
What's the easiest one then?
Easiest would probably be right now Python. Python's a very easy language to get into. It reads almost exactly like English does. I could show it to anybody in here.
Even Gordy could do it?
Maybe.
Funny guy, huh? Tech Gumbo and Comedy Hour.
We'll try that out after the show. But it reads just like English. I could show it to somebody, and you'd be able to tell me what it seems to be doing, although you might not understand the technical aspects of it. Let
me ask David a question. You look career-wise down the road, and thought about where can you stay in Baton Rouge? Do you want to move elsewhere? And I say that because I've had a lot of visits out to the West Coast and gone to a lot of radio technology and audio technology type things, and it's unbelievable to feel the vibe and get around when you get out into the valley out there in Silicon Valley and San Francisco, San Jose, and just the energy, not only the energy but the capital, the money that's being thrown around out there. How's Baton Rouge rank if 1 to 10? If you were to put, San Jose, Silicon Valley at a 10,
I'd say Baton Rouge would be towards the lower end of the spectrum. Honestly, it definitely does have some attractive jobs. IBM recently moved in with a pretty large, I want to say like 700 to 1,000 jobs building. But as far as what I'm looking towards getting into is in the realm of medical programming, Baton Rouge doesn't come close to being a mecca for that sort of programming for what I want to do.
What would be some of the hot places other than the obvious, what I mentioned?
So I spent a summer in Austin this last summer, and I would absolutely go back there to work. It's a very young city, very energetic, as you've said. A lot of the places on the West Coast as well are huge, and Silicon Valley is kind of named for that sort of thing. Yeah. I would absolutely go.
So what do you think Baton Rouge needs to do to be able to get that young and energetic vibe?
I think we just need to attract bigger companies right now because Baton Rouge is pretty stale in terms of what sort of development we have. There's not really a whole lot of up-and-coming tech companies that you see sprouting up in Baton Rouge. Everyone seems to be leaving and going to these other already founded cities looking for to springboard off their company. Nobody's really trying to take step one in Baton Rouge and then move forward from there.
Okay. So do you see yourself, being in Austin, being in the West Coast, whatever, getting over there, getting a lot of experience, and then at some point coming back here and trying to bring those experiences to help Baton Rouge further? Or once you're gone, it's adios, I'm out the door?
I'll see y'all in 20 years.
But that's what it's going to take, though. If you're going to go to these other places and get those kind of experiences, we need you to come back to Baton Rouge and help somebody, help bring Baton Rouge up to the forefront.
I agree. I'm not really sure what exactly could change. I just know that I'm not too happy with where it is right now.
I get that.
Interesting. No, that's an interesting perspective indeed. What would be your advice out there, someone that's looking to pursue this as a major? Because as you mentioned here in Baton Rouge, and one of the things, I was in Portland, another great up-and-coming city, a lot of technology out there, and that whole, Seattle, Portland, I won't call it a beltway. It's not the beltway, but that whole interstate right there. What are the opportunities you'd push them towards?
Well, as far as developing your skill, I think just practicing, just finding something that's interesting to you, finding a problem you want to solve, and applying yourself towards it is the best you can do. I know for a lot of companies out there, just having a good grade point average doesn't really mean anything. As far as all the interviews that I've gone to, it's all about your personal portfolio, what you've done on the side. So having these own personal projects, showing that you have an interest in the field, just making it interesting, finding something that you want to do and doing it is the most important thing you could do to pursue a career in this field.
So what are some of the projects that you have worked on personally?
So one of the projects that I started working on, and it's not entirely finished, it was translating emails into SMS. So I had a little service running that you could send an email into it, it would convert it to an SMS and then text it out to your phone. And I wanted to eventually extend this to a much larger service that you could use for, say, disaster relief. Whenever the internet goes down in an area, you'd still be able to reach people via cell phone that wouldn't have access to the internet. You'd be able to get emails into and out of the disaster-stricken areas and still keep a good line of communication along with this tool.
That's amazing. I'm fascinated by that because at Gulf South Technology, we've written some software that works with reentry into after a disaster's happened. Like when Katrina hit, you had to go to the City of Orleans website or Jefferson website and register to get the placards to get back in. So working with that kind of system would have been just ideal. As David, thank you very much. It's been really fascinating.
Yeah, best of luck in Austin. Hope you guys go 6-6 next year. That's fantastic. Hope you like losing football. That's
I
going to be
bleed
great.
purple and gold. Don't get any other ideas.
We'll get you an orange shirt to go with that. All right, we've got global warming to worry about, rising sea levels, and now solar storms. We'll talk about that next. This is Tech Gumbo on Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP.